because everyone complains about this. Everyone complains, oh, they don't make original stories anymore.
Yeah.
But then you hear other people say, well, it's always been that way. It feels, so I went back and I looked and this is not any kind of great shock, but if you look at the number one highest grossing film by year for the last 10 years, 2014, it was Transformers. 2017, it was all Star Wars. 2018, Black Panther. 2019, Avengers. 2020, Bad Boys for Life. 2021, Spider-Man. 22, Top Gun Maverick. 23, Barbie. 24, Inside Out. So every single one is a sequel or IP or a remake. Then I thought we'd go back to the 90s. Top film of each year. 1990 was Home Alone. 91 was Terminator 2. 92 was Aladdin. 93 was Jurassic Park. 94 was Forrest Gump. 95 was Toy Story. 96 was Independence Day. 97 was Titanic. 98 was Saving Private Ryan. 99 was Star Wars, Phantom Menace. Only 2 sequels on that list. The rest are all original or based on a book.
Yeah.
So it seems like this is a very real thing that has happened.
100%.
Quite. And in fact,
very real.
If you go back this past century, or not past century, but this century, starting in 2000, there's been one movie that was the top grossing movie of the year that was an original story, which was Avatar. All the rest of them were this. Is this what's happened? I mean, you talk about the studio system. Is it, in the current studio system, and if you were to start at the top and work your way all the way down, the executives all the way down to the people that are actually working on the movie, how far would I have to go down the ladder before I find someone who actually cares about the story itself? Because I feel like probably in the executive meetings, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like there's no one saying, well, is this a story even worth telling? Does this story matter? I feel like they're probably not thinking about that as much. Is that part of the problem? There's just not as many people involved who actually are worried about forget about whether it can make money. Is this story, should it even exist? Is it worth telling this story?
Well, like I was saying, I mean, I think that's part of the problem. I think that within the executive class at this point, I think that there has been a real changing of the guard in the mindset of what it means to be an executive today. And this is not an indictment of who they are as human beings, although I think that people that allow for it are lacking in some, bottom line, just the integrity to say, hey, let's not go do this. Let's not go down this road, right? But there's pressures. And the pressures are all either monetary, right? That's kind of always been money, money, money. How can we make money? But then there's also been this insane, I don't even know socio-political agendaed pressure that comes from lots of different places, but that ultimately starts shifting cultural perception. And the studios become victims of that too, I think. I don't think, a lot of people want to say that Hollywood is the one who's pushing a lot of the agenda that they don't like, whatever that agenda is. Certainly, Hollywood is massively complicit in it. But I don't know that these agendas even necessarily start in Hollywood. Some of them might, but some of them are them thinking, oh, what's the hip, cool thing to do? What do we got to do so that people like us and we don't get canceled and that. They're not immune to those same things. And so you have a lot of executives who might mean well, but they're like, guys, we got to do this thing. We got to go make this thing because that's what's going to comply with the expectations of us as a company. Otherwise, people are going to think we're racist or we're sexist or, whatever any of those particular things are. So I think because of that, you're drawing in an executive class that's going to serve those two masters. It's money and agendaed appearance, whatever that is. And in lieu of them, we used to have, and what I wish we would have in lieu of them are the executives of old, which were much more about the creative and the story and the vision of understanding what makes a great story. This is why a lot of them, the new executives, are terrified because they don't know what to do. And so they just go, bring back that old TV show that people really liked, that we got to a point where we didn't think the ratings were good enough to even keep going. But now, because network television ratings are so low anyway, it doesn't really matter and people like it. But they didn't they? Do a focus group. Screw the focus group. Bring it back. They're literally running scared. And we all know it. We see it. We're like, what are you? You have no original ideas? There are so many original ideas that people have every single day that are fantastic ideas. If they just had an executive that could help, that saw it, and then fostered them through the process, and then believed in it all the way to the end, where they're like, guys, we know this is new IP. We're gonna put money behind it because it's awesome.
Or what about a remake of a film? I've been waiting for Hollywood to try this, and probably never will. But if you're gonna do a remake, what about a remake of a movie that was a good idea but not executed well? So then you remake it.
I think this is my part of the criteria of why I think remakes are actually good, or at least passable in some exceptions. Yeah. What movie would you suggest?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'll give you one. I'll give.
Okay.
My criteria for remakes is simple. I think it's like you look at the source movie and you're like, was it incredible? Like incredible, truly in every way, shape, and form the first time? Leave it alone. If there are aspects of it that a remake would really help, one of those might be, hey, it's so old that a lot of people, younger audiences, are sleeping on it. They're not, and you can't just show them. Like, It's a Wonderful Life to me. I love that movie. Most people love that movie. Even younger audiences will still find it because it's on television, every holiday. But the black and white version, a lot of younger audience, they kind of tune out. Black and white, they start tuning out. Even the color version is soft and, So I go, maybe there's something there, but it's also an incredible film. And do you want to touch it? I don't know. It's worth the conversation. But the other reason for a remake is absolutely great premise, really awesome in its kind of cheesiness or quirkiness or something that, to me, The Last Starfighter was a sci-fi movie from the 80s that the CG is so old, early 80s, bad, primitive. At the time, as a kid, you're like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing ever. But even a lot of the special effects and makeup effects and whatever, it's it's kind of like a cheesy 80s sci-fi movie. But it's so great and would absolutely be worthy of, I think, making a remake. I've tried to go do it. Other people have tried to go do it. I think there's a problem, a lot of people get really weird with IP and we don't want anybody else to touch it and I don't know, stuff like that.
If you'd like to see what else I have to say, you can access my full show by going to dailywire.com or by going to the Matt Walsh Show Twitter page. Hope to see you there. Godspeed.